5, waiting gives God time to do other things for us that he promised. Number 6, we may never know the reason we must wait. So we must learn to live by faith. One may wonder, God is taking so much long time to do things. For example, in between Adam, in between from the history of Adam until the sacrifice, the crucifixion of Jesus, it was a long time. The only reason is the economy of the right time. Wait for the right time. The best examples that have been given in the lesson of waiting comes from the book of 1 Samuel 26, verse 12 to 25. This gives the story of David. And as you know, David was a young boy, but Samuel had to anoint him as somebody who's projected to be a king of Israel at that youngful age or youthful state. But the idea here is David, when he was given this leadership, he could not start off the right time. And at that time, he had to wait for a long time. But during this time of waiting, he had also to pass through suffering and having troubles for a long time. We can see his story, how he was fighting in wars, how people could hatch ways on how he can be killed, and many more things that we can read. I'm doing this summary. But did anybody who was hatching any false things against David succeed? No, he didn't succeed, because God was always taking care of him, and he knew when the right time comes, David would be king. Did he become a king? Yes, he did. We have seen the experiences that David had. See, when he was asked to play harp for King Saul so that he can feel better. See how he killed Goliath, and he became a hero at that time. This is a time that God is taking him through crucibles. But God is always there in guidance to help him. This story teaches us that when David was of age, if he was somebody of our nature and he was told you will become a king, he could take a time and grab that leadership. But the story of David and his patience until he became king shows us that don't grab what God hasn't given you. Wait God's gifts. Wait. And God's gifts are always best when we wait for him to give them to us. Maybe we will need to wait for a very long time. Though you wait for a long time, whatever he will give you will be yours, and he will bestow more power in you. Another example that's been given in this lesson is about Elijah. The lesson talks about King Elijah in 1 Kings 19, verse 1 to 9. We can see the contest that was between God and Baal, which was happening in the mountain of, in the hill named of Mount Carmel. Or whatever was done, Baal was told to to burn the offering. It didn't happen. Elijah did it. So, all these stories. And when Elijah was being told to do this, he was not in rush. He was simply giving them time. Do it. Maybe something, you have not done something, do it. But when the right time came for Elijah, did he do it? Yes. Rush. So sometimes, as human, we do things in haste, quick, raka raka. God does not want you to be in hurry. He doesn't want you to rush in doing things. What spiritual truth do we get from Elijah by doing all these things? It shows us that when we rush, we can very easily end up in the wrong place. Elijah's fear caused him to get so upset that he ran a long way to the desert. Elijah wished he never was born. Fear is only one thing that can cause us to run away from God's plan of us. So in life, you also have things in your mind, in your plans, that may cause you rush in doing things until you find yourself running away. What are some of these things? Maybe anger. Maybe you are having trouble with your friend. So many things can make you rush into doing something wrong. So wait and try to wait. So now, what should we do? The reason comes to tell us that if you want to be better in life, enjoy and be happy in the Lord. Psalms 37, verse 4. Enjoy everything, enjoy serving the Lord, and He will give you whatever you ask for. From this book, all verse, Psalms 34, verse 4, it depicts or it shows us that we should try to make a picture in your mind of getting everything you always wanted. There's a secret to getting everything you want. You must be happy in the Lord. So, some of the things which have been listed in the book of Psalms 37, when we study, we read from Psalms 37, it shows us that verse 1 shows us, do not fret because of those who are evil, or be envious of others who do wrong. Sometimes you may see somebody is enriched somewhere, and you feel like, oh, this is, I could have gotten this, this could be mine. And then you start looking for ways of getting them. God does not need that. When I was looking at the dictionary, the word "freed," it shows, like it was saying, it is a way of getting things fraudulently. So does God want fraud people? No. Wait for the right time, and God will give it to you. Verse 5, it shows, commit your way to the Lord and trust in him, and he will give you, or he will make you succeed. Verse 7, be still in the Lord. Wait patiently for him. Verse 8, it says, refrain from anger and turn from wrath. So all this in the book of Psalms 37, from verse 1 to verse 8, it shows us that we should refrain from having our mind set to other things than keeping our time to wait for the Lord. Whatever we ask will be given. Before I come to read the last thing in this lesson, anybody who read this lesson and has a point to, yes.
Thank you. I have a few points that I want to make. Waiting in crucible, the lesson was telling us that we wait in unfavorable circumstances. And we have seen that this waiting, Christ is our example, if I can start from there. The book of 2 Peter 3:15, it says that the Lord is not slow in fulfilling his promise, but is long-suffering, not willing that any should perish, but all should come to what? To repentance. So this patience, we cannot get it. First, we need inner transformation. It is a fruit of the Holy Spirit. It doesn't just come like that. You surrender first yourself to Jesus for us to get that fruit of patience. Because it's God who gives us that patience. It's God who clothes us with that patience. When you have it now, you can be able now to wait in crucible. Because, you know, human beings, when you are in a crucible, sometimes there is that fear. But when you have allowed Jesus to transform you, then it will be easier for you to wait in crucible. And so the central part of a Christian life, our Christian life, the lesson was saying that the patience is one of part of our Christian life, the life that we are living. That is part of our life. And it's part of the remnant church. The remnant, those who are waiting. The book of Revelation 14:12, it was saying, and here is the patience of the saints, those who keep the commandments of God. So this fruit, we need to guard it. Once we get it, we need to safeguard it. We need to have faith. We need to keep trusting in the Lord. Now, God has his own time in fulfilling things. He has his right time. And why should we keep waiting? Why should we keep trusting for the Lord to fulfill things in his right time? As you wait, it enables you, it gives you time to reevaluate even yourself, to see where you have gone wrong so that you can align yourself with the Lord. So, let us keep trusting in the Lord as we wait for his second coming. I'm just touching. Now, the object that we learn from David, an object from David. David, as we know, he had the opportunity of killing Saul. When he visited Saul in his camp with his men, he found Saul was asleep. He was sound asleep. And the spear was just beside, but he didn't kill him. He waited for his time. He could have killed him and take over as the next king, but he waited for the right time. Elijah, he had that experience. He had seen what the Lord did with the prophets of what? Of Baal. But when he heard that Jezebel, when Jezebel heard about it, she decided to kill, that Elijah should be killed. When Elijah had to disappear into the desert for those who led the lesson. He then went to the desert. And one time when he was actually resting in a cave, then the Lord appeared to him. He's asking, what are you doing here? Do you know that there are some things that can make us to run and find ourselves where we are not supposed to be? We have hunger, we have passion. Those things, there are things, ambitions, which are not good. They can find us in a place where we are not supposed to be. So please, let us wait for the Lord. I will finish from the book of Romans chapter 28. It says, all things work good for those who trust in Jesus. All things, they work in good for those who keep trust. So let us keep trusting in Jesus as we wait for his second coming. Thank you.
Anybody again? Yes?
I wanted to speak. I wanted to just to say we're just learning object lessons from both sides, all sides. As David did, what objects lessons do we learn from our surroundings, from our neighbors? What does the tradition say? Even as Paul said, what does your tradition say? Tradition, what does it say? Wengi wanasema subira ufuta nini? Ufuta heri. That is the surrounding. Yani, inki, what is, we have to wait. We have to be patient, as David did. Then we learned of the problem of rushing. What does the tradition say? It says, haraka haraka ina baraka. Hurry has no blessings. That is the tradition. So this, I looked at it and saw that we are taught from both sides, so that we can reach to the point where, as Paul said, they have nothing to say against God's will. We have all these examples that we can learn from. Then we choose to do. We choose to go to the wrong way. So may God help us to be learning. If we cannot learn from this lesson as to how our lives should be, then we have no help. Thank you.
I also want to talk about one thing that is common in our life
is being impatient. Actually, I wanted to read directly from 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 3, the one we read. Elijah was afraid and ran for his life. When he came to Beersheba in Judah, he left his servant there. You know, at times, this is what happens in our life. Elijah has just seen God's powerful hand making fire and torrential rains come down from heaven. But however, he was still afraid of Jezebel. That God has brought you thus far. He has rescued you. But when you are threatened, again you become afraid. What was a laughable thing was that he ran away for more than 150 kilometers. That is 93 miles. At times we are told to walk even 30 minutes, we sweat. Running even 1 mile is a problem to us. Now we are told that he ran away for more than 150 kilometers, which is 93 miles to Judah's border. Why was he running? Then he hid in a cave even further. You see, you are running away from somebody, and then you see somebody's not around there, but he still enters into a cave. So the point is, when you read chapter 19, verse 9, the same chapter, then he had a loving voice reproaching him. What are you doing here, Elijah? So if Elijah had waited for God to act instead of running away, he would have made a greater reformation than the one he did later. So at times there are crucibles, we find ourselves in crucibles, and that is the moment we forget whichever that God has done unto our lives earlier, even the immediate. You know, God just rescues us immediately. We say we have seen the hand of God. He has brought us through COVID. We are alive. We escaped that accident. We are very happy. But immediately we forget and we start running away. So another lesson I was learning here is that even as we are talking about positive things about waiting patiently, there are people in the Bible who were impatient, and actually who was Elijah? Who was he? A prophet of God, God's first here. He had brought God's message that the rain is going to come. He has brought God's message that the drought is going to be here. And then people were not happy with him. So God's people can as well be impatient, especially when there is a threat to your life. In future, there is going to be a threat to your life. Maybe a place of work, maybe on the Sabbath, or another thing. What do we learn from Elijah? We can be impatient, but we can only be successful if we wait on the Lord. Thank you.
Yes.
Is patience easy? You see, it's easy to be patient. No, the lesson was saying waiting is painful by definition. When you are waiting, you are in pain. But what we read from the book of Romans 5, it was telling us, if we started from 1, for we glory in tribulation. Not only that, for we know that it brings what? Patience. So when we are in trouble, we know after we mature, it will be patient. And not only that we'll be patient, it will bring, another language was saying, experience. When you learn of hard things, you have an experience. You learn some things. And when you learn those things, then it brings hope. When you have that hope, then you are not ashamed in your waiting, in your tribulations, in your troubles, only when you wait. And that's why David had learned of God when he went and found Saul, the king, sleeping, even sleeping completely. He could have done something to kill him. But he had learned to be patient. He had seen what God has done in his life. So it's not easy. We can say, be patient. Yeah, we are patient. But unless we get the Christ example and we learn through that tribulation, it is not easy. We'll be champing like Elijah. After he had killed all those prophets, he knew God was there. I'm not saying he didn't do the right thing, but he was afraid. Maybe he lacked something. So we can do good things, but when it comes to Christmas in our lives, may we ask God that we look at him.
I think up to there, someone may ask us, you were in charge. You studied the lesson. What did you study? In simple words, I could like to bring it that everyone here has troubles. We have many problems. So much crucibles. In your crucibles, we have studied that even when you are in those troubles, entrust your life in who? In God. And while you have entrusted your life in God, also trust that God is always there to act for you. He is always working for you. And also, as he continues to work for you, you don't have to try to hurry and fix things yourself. Don't. Don't fix things yourself. And by that, he goes back to the book of Psalms 37, verse 7, which was giving us an example of how David saw life. People were in haste and could try to fix things fraudulently. Do not fret. Unataka kuwa tajiri, unataka kuwa tajiri haraka haraka, iba alafu fanya hivi. No. Do not. That's what the lesson is trying to tell us. Your Father is in heaven, and he is always in control. Trust him. Does the lesson leave it there to trust in him? No, it says trust him completely. If you do this, nothing can upset you or destroy you or destroy your peace. God is here and is always at work to fix your things, and they will be fixed perfectly the way God has planned them for you. And that's the end of the lesson. Let's pray. Our Father in heaven, we thank you so much because of the lesson. You have taught us not to be quick, but be people who can wait. And we have understood that while we are waiting, God, you are there always fixing our problems. Each and everyone who is seated here